Hi there, my name is Nathan DeLong and I'm a sales engineer here at SalesPad. Today we're going to be taking a quick look at PayFabric and the different places that we can use PayFabric within SalesPad. So I'm going to start here in my customer search. I'm just going to hit enter just to pull back all of my customers, and I'm going to pick on Aaron Fitz Electrical. They're always at the top of my list. They're always the customer I pick on in demos, and we have some good data to look at with them too. So down below, you'll notice that I have a couple tabs right here on my customer card for PayFabric. The first one is going to be our PayFabric wallet. This is where we are going to keep a list of all of this customer's preferred credit cards that they've said that they would like us to keep on file. However, if you noticed, this part of the screen here on the right-hand side took a few moments to load. That's because even though it looks like we're still within SalesPad, and really from a user perspective, we are still in SalesPad. There's nothing I'm doing as far as having to launch an additional application or log in again or anything like that. But the reason it takes a few moments is because the actual card information for this customer is saved on PayFabric servers. So the advantage of that, of course, is that all of that payment card industry, that PCI data, is not being stored on my server. That is being handled for me by PayFabric. I can still associate a card with a customer or multiple cards with a customer, but I don't have to save that sensitive information on my server. I can access it, but I don't have to worry about saving it or all of the security and auditing questions that come up around that. So on the Wallet tab, again, for Aaron Fitz, I currently only have one card that's associated with them. I can see all of the information for that card, so the expiration date, whose name is on that card. I can also decide if I would like to make this the default credit card for this customer as well. Now, next to this tab, I also have one for PayFabric transactions. And the first thing I'm going to do is adjust my date. So currently the date is going back quite far. So I'm going to pull that up just a little bit so we can shrink down our list. This is going to show me all of the card activity that I've done in SalesPad with this customer. So for example, sale transactions, along with a link to that particular document, maybe times where I've had a customer whose card has been denied, and then what document that happened on, and so on and so forth. This is really helpful for me because now there isn't any question as far as if the customer says, well, I see that you charged me $500 on my card, what was it for? I can click the link here, pull up that exact document, send the customer a copy of it, email them a copy of it so that they know exactly what their card was charged for. Now, to use PayFabric in SalesPad, if I want to actually carry out a transaction with this customer's credit card, there are a few different ways that I can accomplish that. The first is, here on Aaron Fitz's customer card, I'm just going to hop into a new invoice. And then on this invoice, I'm going to go ahead and add an item just so that we have a total. And it looks like $150, that's great. I'm going to save this so that we get an invoice number and also so that our tax will calculate. And that'll be just a few moments while that document saves for me. There we go. So, and it looks like in this case, this item, I believe I have set up as a non-taxable item. So that's perfect. Our total is $150. Now, if I want to go ahead and access PayFabric at this point to record a payment or even just to do an authorization, make sure that the customer has those funds on their card, I'm going to click the blue hyperlink for the payment amount, which is currently $0. And I'll get this little payments window that will pop up. And from here, I can do either a new authorization or a new charge. And in this case, I am going to do a charge. So I'll click New Charge. And then here we have PayFabric loading again. Again, that's SalesPad reaching out to PayFabric servers. And you'll see here, I can select that card that we have saved for Aaron Fitz. I'll just do that. And then, as you can see, there's our shipping address right from our order. There's their billing address. This is the same information that I have saved for this customer for the shipping address from this particular order, and then for the billing information from their customer card. So we'll process that transaction. It'll take just a few moments to process. I'll get a little pop-up notifying me that the transaction was successful and that it has been approved. And then as soon as I click OK, you'll notice that now there is that transaction ID with that information about exactly what that transaction was. I can go ahead and close this window. There's our payment amount. And then I can do whatever else it may be that I want to do with this document. So if I perhaps had just done an authorization, we can, using sales batch processing, send all of those documents to a particular batch and then do a batch charge on those documents right here. So if you like to do your authorization first to verify that the customer can afford the product perhaps that's on an order, then you go ahead and ship that order, you write back your shipping charges, and then at the end of the day you actually charge. You can certainly do that here doing sales batch processing. Now, another way that we can get to PayFabric from within SalesPad is when we're doing our cash receipts. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my cash receipts window, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up my customer Aaron Fitz. And there they are. And of course, here on the right-hand side, I'll have a list of all of their posted receivables. All I have to do here is give this particular payment a batch. And I usually like to use today's date. So I'm going to do 20/20/01/17. Really, whatever batch ID you would like to use, you're more than welcome to. You can even reuse the same batch ID. So maybe what I do is I go through and I do these cash receipts all day, and I keep using the batch ID with today's date, and that's what I want to post at the end of the day in GP. That's perfectly fine. If I want to use something else for my batches, that's okay too. So under my receipt details, you'll notice that I have a few choices, either check, cash, or in this case, like I'm going to select a credit card. At this point, I can put in an amount. So we're basically pretending that Aaron Fitz has maybe called me, or maybe I've called them about some of these outstanding receivables, and I've said, do you have a payment for me? And they might say, yes, I do. Put it on my card that you have on file. Maybe they say they have $500. So in the amount field here, I'm going to put in $500. I'm going to click the Submit Charge button. And that again is going to call out to PayFabric. From here, I can again pick that same card that I have on file for Aaron Fitz. I can go ahead now and process that transaction. And then we have that transaction has been approved. That's exactly what we want. I'll say okay. And now you'll notice that that $500 from that credit card payment is going to appear under my cash applications. So if I select this, I can now go through and select invoices that are posted receivables to apply that receipt to. And I suppose in this case, I might just pick a couple that are towards the top of the list. And from there, all we have to do once we've selected those is apply that receipt. And there we go. My cash application is now totally used up. And you'll notice that it took all of that first invoice, because I think it was $300 and maybe $40 and some change. But for this other one, we've only drawn down our amount. We haven't been able to pay off the whole thing because they only gave me $500. So that's another way that we can use PayFabric here within SalesPad. And you'll notice one of the things that I really like about this is I don't have to log in over and over and over again if I want to use PayFabric. Once I've logged myself into SalesPad, it's available for me to make use of. Now, the next place that we can use PayFabric in SalesPad is with counter sales. So of course, counter sales is for really those walk-up customers who might come up to maybe a counter in a retail type setting, and they might say, could you please give me XYZ? You hand it to them and then you ask for a payment. So in this case, in counter sales, I'm going to use my walk-in customer. It's just a generic record that I have for these type of walk-in sales where they're not necessarily tied to a pre-existing customer. It's just somebody who's come in off the street who I need to help. The first thing we'll do is we'll pull in an item number, which I'll do. There we go. We could also use, of course, to get these item numbers into counter sales, we could use a little hand scanner. There's nothing wrong with that, but in my case, I'm just going to type it. So we'll get this item on their order, and I'm going to pretend that there was nothing else they needed. They just needed this item. So I can go ahead and get ready to check them out. I'll be told right here in the center of the screen exactly what the total is for this particular order. And here is my PayFabric tab. And just like we did before, I'm going to go ahead and click New Charge. In my case, I'm not going to just do an authorization. I want to actually charge their card at this point. And because this is my walk-in customer, of course, I'm not going to have any saved credit cards with this customer. So what I'm going to do is actually type in their credit card information. Now, I will tell you, you can also use a PAX device to read their credit card. So if you would rather swipe their card or read the chip on their card, you can certainly do that. That will work fine with this application. But since I don't have one of those connected to my system today, I'm going to be manually typing the information. But don't think that because I'm manually typing, that does not mean that you have to do it that way. Right. There we go. And then I can fill in additional information if I would like, but I think in this case, I'm just going to try to process it without having to make you watch me fill out all those fields. There we go. Perfect. The transaction has been approved. So at this point, I can see that I have no more open balance on this order. From here, I could just take this order, submit it through to whatever the next step is in my workflow. So perhaps my next step might be an auto print queue where we actually print out a copy of this invoice for our customer so that they can take that with them along with their product. Now, the last thing I'd like to show you in this short demo of PayFabric is another service that's offered along with PayFabric. It's called PayLink. PayLink allows us to actually send our customer a secure link that they can click to pay their invoice. So the advantage, of course, of PayLink being that it's very smooth, and also I don't have to touch the customer's card at all. So we've already talked about how we don't have that PCI data concern with PayFabric. This actually puts me even one more step removed from the customer's card information. I'm allowing them to be in control of how and when that card is run. So to show how that works, on my customer card here for Aaron Fitz Electrical, and let me preface this too by saying I like to use PayLink as a workflow plugin within SalesPad, so I don't have to manually do anything to get that link sent to my customer. So on my customer card for Aaron Fitz, I've created a user-defined field called Prefers PayLink, and it's checked. So if I go ahead and start a new invoice now for Aaron Fitz, you'll notice there's that same user-defined field that has come over with a little check mark on it from my customer card. And we'll do exactly as we did before. Just put an item on here. And then we'll go ahead and we'll save our invoice, just like that. And now, instead of jumping into the payment link and recording a payment right now, I'm just going to actually release this invoice into my workflow. So we'll go ahead and click Release. And then it's going to go through some different workflow steps where I'm going to evaluate whether or not that PayLink box was checked on this order. So that evaluated to true. So then we've used our plugin to create a PayLink and also email the customer a copy of their invoice along with that link. And so I'm going to go ahead and pop into my email so we can pull up that document for you. All right, so here is that email that our customer has received. It's got their invoice number and the total amount, which is perfect. I've also attached a copy of their invoice to this so that they can look at it and review it. But here is our link. So if I click that, it is going to take me now to PayLink. It's going to show me all of the information on this document, just like I put it into SalesPad. So what's the customer number, the customer name, what's the date, what's the document number, and then they can choose to either pay by an electronic check or to pay by their credit card. So in this example, I'm going to go ahead and click Pay by Credit Card. And remember, for Aaron Fitz, we do have a card that's on file for them. And here, as the customer now doing my own payment, If I pull down this list, sure enough, there is that saved card. So saving that card information isn't just something for my end as the vendor, but also here for my customer, they can use this information too. And for that matter, if they wanted to at this point, Aaron Fitz could enter a new card and then choose to save it for later use. That will all be synced back to SalesPad for me to see as well. But in this case, I'm going to use that card that we have on file, and I'm going to go ahead and process the transaction. So after a few moments, once that has processed, the customer now has a payment confirmation. They could save this as a PDF, they could print it out, but they do have this now for their records. Meanwhile, what's going to happen on my end is PayLink is going to communicate back to SalesPad and set the payment as $150 for this transaction. It's going to write this particular transaction back to the PayFabric tab on the customer card as well. So I know that I've received that payment from the customer, and I've actually let them go through all of the steps of managing their card, charging their card, and getting their own confirmation. So it could be a really nice, seamless way to have your customers use their cards to pay you if you would like to use it. That concludes our short demo, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Please contact us if you would like more information.